Coming up, Trinity has been ranked as the National Liberties University.
And the San Antonio Zoo assists in rescue efforts in Florida.
It's starting right now on Newswave. Good afternoon and welcome to the very first broadcast of the Newswave for the 2022-23 school year. Today is Friday, October 7th. I'm Cinthia Morales.
And I'm Caleb Reed. Trinity University was ranked 55th out of over 200 liberal arts universities across the nation in 2022, which was their first appearance on the national stage. Using 17 measures of academic quality, the U.S. News & World Report ranked nearly 1,500 schools across the nation. Trinity ranked number 50 in Best Value and 51st in Innovation. This is Trinity's first year on the USNWR National Report, though it had been previously ranked in regional rankings. With the national midterm elections on the horizon, the Trinity University Voter Engagement Task Force is rallying students to register to vote. The task force was founded in 2019 by the Director of Student Involvement and Assistant Dean of Students, Jamie Thompson. He described the organization as, quote, a group of individuals who have an interest and passion in voter engagement, which is critical on a college campus. The task force is organizing around civic holidays and is educating students on information regarding registration and voting. Early voting starts on October 28th. And to check your registration status, you can go to trinity.turbovote.org. Once again, that is trinity.turbovote.org.
In other more recent news, campus Dicke Hall is officially open with this ribbon-cutting ceremony. TU Chamber Singers performed at its grand opening, which took place on Friday, September 23rd. Newswave's own executive producer and student body president, Danny Nguyen, was joined by Mayor Ron Nirenberg, University President Vanessa Beasley, along with Jim and Janet Dicke, for whom the building is named after. Following the ribbon cutting, guests embarked on a self-guided tour through the building and attended presentations from faculty and students. The Dicke Hall will be used to house the Humanities Department and is one of the newest developments in the Trinity's master plan for construction. Our executive producer and Trinity Student Body President, Danny Nguyen, spoke with Trinity's newly appointed president, Vanessa Beasley, on her vision for the future of Trinity. Check it out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special interview on Newswave, Trinity University student news broadcast on campus station Tiger TV. My name is Danny Nguyen, class of 2024, and here with me today is the newly appointed 20th president of Trinity University, President Vanessa Beasley. President Beasley, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Danny.
Yes, so, first off, of course, congratulations on your appointment, and of course, welcome to Trinity. Could you please introduce yourself so that the audience could get to know a little bit more about you?
Absolutely. So you know my name, so I don't have to say that again. I am a scholar of political rhetoric and with a particular emphasis on the history of the U.S. presidency and how it's changed as our mass media system has changed in the United States and globally. So that's what I love to study. That's what my books and publications are about. I was very fortunate to have taught and researched at 4 other universities before coming to Trinity, so 2 publics and 2 privates, so I have a pretty good sense of how different types of universities work. And I'm also the partner and spouse of Trey Beasley. He's here with me on campus. We've been married 32 years, and we have 2 children, Adam, who's 24 and lives in Houston, and Charlie, who's 19 and lives in Kentucky.
Sweet. And so what drew you to Trinity and the presidential position?
So it actually starts with a story about one of my children. My son Adam and I in 2014 I was already in San Antonio for a conference, and he had just finished his sophomore year in high school. We lived in Nashville, and he had always really been interested in Texas universities. And so we decided to start touring, and Trinity was our first stop. He flew out and met me in San Antonio, and we did the Trinity tour. And I've told several people this, but it's still such a happy memory for me. When we were taking the tour, not only was I, charmed by the beauty of the campus and really struck by how distinctive it is, but we also saw, just walking around, some faculty and student interactions And in particular, it's not the building that CSI is now, but in that area, the building that was before CSI renovation happened, particularly in the science areas, which was what he thought he was going to study then. And I kept saying to him, usually the students that would be working with faculty in labs, as one example, but we could be talking about libraries, archives, writing studio, doesn't matter. Usually at a university, those are going to be PhD students that the faculty are giving most of their attention to. And I've always believed that, especially with bright undergraduates, we should be offering, we in the general sense of higher ed, we should be offering more students more opportunities for that kind of, oh my gosh, this is how a discovery is made, or this is what it takes to write a beautiful poem. So I said to Adam, that seems like Trinity's really good at that. And that's where you want to be, where a faculty member cares about you and your growth and also is inviting you into the spaces that they care about. So fast forward to all these years later, when I saw the email in my inbox about this presidency, I opened it and read it, and I thought, wow, the things that Trinity wants to do now still have that faculty-student engagement at their core, but also taking the next step forward with regard to redefining the liberal arts. And I got really excited about it. So thought about it for a few weeks and thought, I'm going to put my name in.
Yeah. So now that you, how was your first reaction coming back to campus here? I mean, definitely, I'm sure you might or might not have visited campus after you had a tour with your son here. But what was your first reaction coming back to San Antonio and seeing the Trinity campus?
It's so beautiful. I mean, it's one of the jobs that I had in my previous position at Vanderbilt was working with architects and finance people on a variety of different campus construction projects and the design of them to make sure that our students are learning. And so when we talk about that in general in higher ed, we talk about what's the academic program and then what kind of space do we need for it. And so this time coming back to campus with that knowledge that I didn't have in 2014, I thought, wow, this campus is designed for learning. It's beautiful. I've read a lot about O'Neill Ford since I got the position, and the historic value is meaningful to me. The modernist style is very attractive to me. And the last thing I'll say about that, Danny, is I feel like a campus like Trinity's is designed intentionally and because of the time that it was constructed to be welcoming to many traditions. Sometimes when you're at a college campus, you can see, oh, this was just meant to welcome these kinds of people at this kind of time. And some of those spaces are beautiful and historic. And when I walk around our campus, I feel like, oh, this is an architecture that invites people in, both through the light, beautiful spaces we have, and also through the fact that it's a style that works with many different cultural traditions.
And across the nation, we've had a difficult period in our recent history. It's been kind of chaotic for everyone, and I'm sure you experienced, and we've all experienced it both, here at Trinity, but also at, your previous institutions, from pandemics to political turmoil to social injustices. How do you think we should move forward into this new era, and how do you think we as the Trinity community can begin our new chapter?
Yeah, thank you, Dane. That's a very thoughtful question. So I study political rhetoric. And when people think about political rhetoric, they might have a tendency to think about, as is appropriate, what's coming out of somebody's mouth, the speeches, the messages. And to your point, we've certainly heard a lot of political rhetoric, and we always will in a democracy. That's one of the great freedoms that we have. The way I'm going to answer your question is, the last few years, I've really started challenging myself to think not only about what I say when I'm speaking into the world and to colleagues, but also how I listen. And that's how I would answer your question. It's a really important moment to think about how we're listening to each other. And listening's a skill. It's something that we can do easily, or we think we can do easily for the most part. But actually learning how to listen in what I call a non-reactive way. Because I study argument, I find it really fascinating to sit down and, or read something or hear something someone's saying and thinking, I never would have made that argument. How would somebody have made that argument? What's their evidence? And how do you decide what's good evidence and bad evidence? How do they connect evidence to that argument? Some of those analytical skills that are part of my training and many other scholars' training too. I think the volume has been turned up, if you will, for a while now. And for me, it feels like a great time to say, all right, everybody, the only way through whatever's coming next is to be together, right? And even with people that you don't agree with, that's actually really important to find common cause, even if that's just for the sake of building community. Community is precious. And so we can't get there unless we learn to listen to each other better. It's really important.
And you know that as a student, you know, I've noticed like our community is pretty unique, our Trinity community, in that even though we come from completely different backgrounds, we do have a sense of bondness in this familial atmosphere that I think that even though we kind of go through these obstacles and hurdles, we all kind of overcome them together, and we kind of leave our opinions aside, and we have a respect for each other to kind of move on
I
forward.
think that's really important, right?
Yeah.
And how to do that. I want you to have opinions. I want you to have political views. I want everybody to have a sense of what matters to them. That's really important to be able to articulate it for yourself. It's also true that you and I can work together beautifully on a committee for the good of the university, in your role and my role, even if we don't agree on politics, right? And I think for many parts of society, we've lost sight of that. We don't have to agree on everything to work together to make the community stronger. That's an area where I'd like to see our community grow.
Yeah. And you know, on a lighter note, as we move beyond, you know, talking about our past, how's your experience here at Trinity so far? Like, what are your first reactions, first thoughts?
Everybody has been very welcoming. I will say I took a few weeks when I first got here at the end of July to basically have some behind the scenes time, if you call it that, because there are things as a candidate for a position such as the presidency that you can't see, that you shouldn't see, right? Anything from financial information to legal information. And so once you have the title, you need to see those things and you need to understand how systems work. So I have a wonderful set of colleagues, all the vice presidents and our general counsel. And being able to be with them and think about, tell me what's in your portfolio. I really want to, again, very respectfully understand how things work here. And they did a great job with that. And then after that, we started to have some meetings, including with SGA, and start to, again, do what I'm talking about, listen to everyone. So within all of that context, everybody's been so warm. Everybody's been so enthusiastic and welcoming. And I'd say everybody's also shown a tremendous amount of energy in whatever the next level is. Like I said, I have a pretty clear vision, but I want to hear from other people too. Everybody's shown just an eagerness to like, okay, let's do this. So that's great.
Yeah. So let's take let's look into the future.
Okay.
Let's see. Where do you want to see Trinity, let's say 20 years from now? Where are you looking forward to?
So this is not just my belief. I know this. Trinity is in a very unique position to shine as a national liberal arts university. I say national because I think I've had the experience with my friends, people saying, oh yeah, Trinity, this is not necessarily related to my presidency, but over 20, 25 years, people saying Trinity is great. It's a little gem, you know, or like it's a little, it's this hidden jewel. And I'm like, what's hidden about it? Right? You know, like it's right, it's here, and it's shining so brightly, to use the jewel metaphor. So I think in 20 years, I would predict with great confidence that a couple of things will have happened. One is more people around the nation and around the world will understand what Trinity University stands for, and most importantly, the education that it offers and the value of that education. I'm starting to work with some colleagues to think about, like, are we expressing that the right way? Are we talking about that the right way? So in 20 years from now, you know, I love to communicate. That's my field. So 20 years from now, I know we'll have that down, and more people will know about Trinity. And then I would say the second part of what I can predict accurately is now we're in a time of not just other kinds of innovation with regard to tech, but also educational innovation, right? So there's a lot of people who would say post-COVID, online education's not going away. And I'm really excited about the differentiation you're going to see across educational and institutional types, because there's no one size fits all in higher ed. Trinity is a wonderful place for a particular kind of student. Which is one of the reasons I was so happy my son and I toured here. But it doesn't have to be for everybody. So I'd say that we are increasingly selecting the kinds of students who are going to thrive here and take the Trinity education, and then perhaps stay in San Antonio, perhaps go wherever they're going to go next, and spread the value of that liberal arts education to the next phase in their life too.
I mean, coming from San Antonio, I mean, Trinity's always been in my backyard. And so the fact that I get to be here, you know, getting to do these many different opportunities that I have been able to, you know, acquire and, you know, thrive in here at Trinity, it's super an exciting experience. And I definitely really do want to see what it looks like 20 years from now. Maybe I'll still be here.
I think here's the deal, Danny. In 20 years, you can call me and we'll figure this out together. But I bet you what you'll find by then is that the degree that you'll have then, that people already respect now, will be even more respected and valued then.
And I really do hope so too.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so, you know, the last question of today's interview, and this is, you can look towards one of our mini cameras here for our interview. What do you want to say to the Trinity community?
Okay, I'm going to look at this camera and say, first of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome that I've received from students, faculty, and staff. Thank you for being the special community that drew me here in the first place. And I've said this to several people already, so this might be repetitive to some of you, but I'm here because you're here. My job as president is to lead and to lead us into the next chapter in Trinity's history. It does feel like there's palpable energy, that we're at what we're talking about as an inflection point, and I think that's right. And it's also right that it just won't be one person who gets us there. It will be our joining together as one community to make the Trinity experience shine even brighter and to make the value of your education even more obvious in the future. So please join me in that effort, and I want to hear from you about what made Trinity special for you.
Wow. So that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you to President Vanessa Beasley for being here, and to the Trinity community and beyond. Stay safe and stay healthy. This is Danny Nguyen, Newswave 14 reporting.
Coming up ahead, the San Antonio Zoo assists in rescue efforts in Florida.
And get some tips on going through the midterm season. We'll be back in 1 minute.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Welcome back. The San Antonio Zoo is sending its disaster response team to Punta Gorda, Florida. Punta Gorda is one of the many areas in Florida that was devastated by Hurricane Ian. The zoo is sending their disaster response team to, quote, respond to the needs of the region's zoos, aquariums, and other facilities housing non-domestic animals, end quote. This is not the first time that the San Antonio Zoo has sent their disaster response team to help with hurricane recovery. The team also went to Houston during the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey to assist the downtown aquarium and the Texas Zoo. Because of this, the relief they provided to Louisiana after Hurricane Laura in 2020, the San Antonio Zoo Disaster Response Team is considered to be one of the largest and most experienced deployment units nationwide.
Teenagers involved with San Antonio Youth Commissions and Project Worth teamed up earlier this year to create a survey on the mental health of individuals ages 12 to 19 here in San Antonio. The results were shockingly negative, as 49% of teens reported feeling numb or helpless. 37% reported an inability to complete daily tasks, and 28% reported thoughts of suicide. The top two stressors were found in the survey were school, with 59% of participants reporting it as a stressor, and COVID-19 at 51%. The report also found that many young people are lacking safe spaces and people to talk to, with 17% reporting that they did not feel comfortable with talking to anyone, and 41% reporting that they simply talked to their friends about their feelings. The survey was created in a response to the declaration of mental health crisis among youth adults. Julia Doski of San Antonio Youth Commission said, quote, "This is just proof of the problem. It's a cry for help. For me, this is more than just thinking about a problem. It's preventing from people to happen ever again. Who we are, we look at what we need, not what we need from them." With midterm season around, it can be a stressful time for many. Executive producer Danny Nguyen went out to see what advice students have for this time of the year. Check it out.
Midterm season is finally here, and to many students, it can be a pretty stressful time. From juggling exams and papers to just everyday tasks to deal with, it is important to be prepared for anything and everything. I asked some Tigers around campus to see if they had any tips and tricks for students during this time.
I would say during midterm season, you should definitely like take time for yourself, like take care of yourself during midterms because a lot of people forget to do that. So study, but also take care of yourself.
For midterms, I would honestly just try my best to form study groups and start studying as early as possible. Personally, I like separating the content and breaking it down based on whatever you learned and just study little by little over a certain period of time so you're not cramming in the end. And yeah.
Definitely for midterms, I would say don't procrastinate. It's important to take like a brain break and just like walk around, get some coffee, and make sure to email your professors if you have any question. And I would say also attend office hours.
Remember, it is important to study efficiently and to also take care of yourself during the stressful season. From all of us at Newswave and Tiger TV, good luck on your midterms and stay positive. This is Danny Nguyen, Newswave 14, reporting.
In recent national news, last week Hurricane Ian touched down in Florida, causing billions in property damage and dozens of casualties. Most recent estimates by local officials place the death toll at 123 as emergency responders make their way through the destroyed neighborhoods and urban areas. Citizens in the affected area are struggling with electricity outages and structural damage to communications. The damage is so severe that some cities will require a total reconfiguration of their electricity grids. According to CNN, Emergency Management Director Ryan Lamb of Cape Coral, Florida, has reported that 98% of the city's grid has been, quote, obliterated. Projections from property analytics firm CoreLogic report $47 billion in property losses, making Ian potentially the most expensive storm in the state's history. This destruction comes in addition to the damage caused in Puerto Rico and Cuba as federal, state, and local authorities coordinate their response. We here at Newswave wish a quick recovery to those in the affected areas, and our hearts are with those who lost family and friends. Still ahead, our friends from Studio 21 bring you the entertainment news.
And learn what's going on in the sports world with Caleb.
We'll be back in 60 seconds.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov. Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Welcome back, and now we'll turn it over to Caleb for sports. Caleb?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to sports. My name is Caleb Reed, and let's get started. First off, Trinity football has been absolutely rolling this season, maintaining an undefeated record so far in 2022. After defeating Sul Ross, Wheaton, and Texas Lutheran at home, the Tigers took a couple weeks off before defeating Hendrix on the road 28-7 last week. Tomorrow, they play Birmingham Southern in an SDAC matchup here at Trinity with a 1 p.m. kickoff. Volleyball has also gotten onto a hot streak, starting with a 13-2 record this season. So far, the ladies are 5-0 in conference play and are riding an 8-game win streak dating back to September. They are playing a game right now that should be wrapping up, and they will play again tonight at 6 and tomorrow at 10 a.m. in Colorado. Both men's and women's soccer have gotten their seasons underway, with the men sitting at 4-3-2 and the women holding a 9-0-1 record. The women have dismantled their last two opponents, beating Dallas 6-0 and absolutely crushing Austin 8-0. Both teams are on the road tonight, but the women return to Trinity on Wednesday to face Shriner. Now it's time to move over to professional sports and my team, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys opened the season with a 19-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they lost more than just the game. Quarterback Dak Prescott suffered a hand injury that required surgery, forcing backup Cooper Rush into the starting role. However, instead of faltering, Rush took the job in stride, leading Dallas to a 3-1 record so far early in the season. This is despite losing targets Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson in the offseason, as well as offensive lineman Tyron Smith to injury. Rush has looked cool, calm, and collected under the helm, and there are questions swirling about whether Rush is out for Dak's job when Prescott is healthy. For the sake of the fan base and my heart, I hope that it doesn't come to that. Also in the NFL, 45-year-old quarterback Tom Brady returned to football after previously announcing his retirement, coming back to the Buccaneers for his 23rd season. However, this has led to multiple reports that he and his wife, Gisele Bündchen, are divorcing due to a number of factors, chief among them being Brady's return to football after previously saying otherwise. And now on to more serious matters. The NFL and the Miami Dolphins are under intense criticism this week after two horrifying incidents to breakout quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. During the Dolphins' Week 3 game against the Buffalo Bills, Tua was thrown to the ground during a sack, whipping his head into the turf. He got up shaky, and many suspected him to have a concussion, though he returned to the game later. Just 4 days later, in a Thursday Night Football match in Cincinnati, Tua once again suffered a terrifying blow to the head, locking up in front of millions in a fencing position. He was obviously taken out of the game with a concussion, but it has raised serious questions about the NFL's concussion protocol and has put Miami under heavy criticism after allowing Tua to even play, both against the Bills and the Bengals. While the NFLPA launches their investigation, we wish Tua the best in his recovery. On to baseball and the wonderful month of October. The Houston Astros have won the AL West in the first seed in the American League playoffs, to no one's surprise, with the Yankees, Braves, and Dodgers all earning byes in the playoffs. However, a massive surprise came out of the AL West in 2022, with the Seattle Mariners making the playoffs. This is Seattle's first trip to the postseason since 2001, breaking the longest active playoff drought in American sports. With the 21-year curse finally broken, the record now belongs to the Sacramento Kings, who have not seen the NBA playoffs in 16 years. Finally, we move on to F1, where things have been extremely interesting to say the least. First off, over the summer, four-time champion Sebastian Vettel announced his retirement from the sport at the end of the season. In a video posted to Instagram in early July, he stated his goals to fight for activism in fields like climate change and social justice, as well as spending time with his family. His retirement sent shockwaves through the racing world and set off a chain reaction of chaotic driver moves, which are still being worked out nearly 3 months later. And finally, this season has been something that I think that nobody expected, particularly in the championship fight. After a back-and-forth fight in the early months of the season, where we thought that we would see close racing, Red Bull Racing has absolutely dominated the season. Though Red Bull has been incredibly fast so far this year, they have been also helped by mistakes from their title rival Ferrari. The prancing horses have basically ruined the chances to win a title through poor strategy and reliability, though mistakes from the drivers have not helped at all. Now the door is wide open for Red Bull to take their second consecutive Drivers' Championship, as well as their first Constructors' Championship since 2013. There's still so much more to cover, but that is all the time that I have for this week, so make sure to tune in for even more sports next week.
For more entertainment news this week, we'll turn to Gossip Guru from Studio 21.
Hello everyone, hope you're having a good Tuesday. My name is Angelina D'Elia.
And my name is Erica Fogel. Studio 21 is back and we have lots of fun celebrity gossip, news on the latest movies and games, live performances, and much more in store for y'all, so stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the first Gossip Guru of the semester.
And I'm Erica. So, how's your week been going, Angelina?
You know, it's been pretty good. I've been super busy, but I'm having a good week so far. How about yourself?
I'm about to have an exam tomorrow, and it's been a big mystery on how, I'm gonna study for this exam,
Yeah, I understand. I was gonna ask if there are any new shows you've been watching, but I guess you haven't had much time.
No, I have not. Have you?
I haven't either. But I do know that the current #1 show on Netflix is Dahmer, a new addition to the plentiful content about Jeffrey Dahmer and his string of murders in the 1980s. This new show's success has been highly attributed to the true crime genre's recent bloom in popularity. I personally am a fan of the genre because I just think it's really interesting to learn about all these things that have happened.
Well, I think true crime is an interesting genre as we get to listen to the real stories that are terrifying and help us realize that the world can be a cruel place. The genre usually draws me in when the show is structured to have me try and solve the case in my own head. But, you know, I try and stay away from this fandom because they can get a little bit crazy.
I understand. Sometimes it's hard to sleep after watching.
Absolutely.
But no matter your opinion on the genre, you can't deny its influence on the society, both good and bad.
For sure. Haven't old cases been resurfaced and solved after years because of true crime fans?
That is true, but those same fans have also harassed victims and their families over decades-old cases. Exactly this has happened with every adaptation of Dahmer's life throughout the years.
I definitely wouldn't want to be constantly reminded of a traumatic event in my life, but I mean, Netflix is paying them good, right?
You would think that, but no, as a matter of fact. They didn't even ask permission or even notify them about the series beforehand.
What? That's horrible.
It gets worse. They even recreated a testimony by one of the victim's family members in court. The portrayal of this testimony was so accurate that fans dug up the original court video and spread it across the internet.
That's insane that they could just do that without even letting her know.
Exactly. Between the reminder of a traumatic event and a video of you during that event going viral, they definitely deserve some compensation.
They definitely do, and it brings up the question if the show was ever needed. It's been done before, and the main profits for these productions seem to be, you know, profit as usual, even if it harms the very people they're representing.
We're starting dark this semester, but I don't think our second story is much better.
Oh no, it is not. In fact, it is eerily similar to the first story, and they share one common enemy, Netflix.
They've had an interesting time recently, from raising prices to removing much of their content, and now all this drama.
They sure have. This next example is their new film titled Blonde. This film stars Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe and follows her rise to fame and eventual demise.
So is it like a dramatic documentary?
Oh, I forgot to mention, it's not actually about Marilyn Monroe. It's about a fictional book about the imagined life of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, well, surely it pulls from her experiences and maybe even worked with her on it?
Oh, Angelina, have you learned nothing today? These stories will always be the worst case scenarios.
Okay, so no input from her at all?
Yeah, of course not. I mean, like, why would you actually look into someone you're writing a book on? The book was published after Monroe's death, which does bring up a number of other ethical concerns surrounding this story, but namely, it means that it is impossible for Monroe to have been contacted about the book.
And I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it's not great.
Oh, no, it is not. It clearly draws most of its influence from her status as a so-called sex symbol, as it sports an NC-17 rating for sexual content, including some very traumatic events from the book that cannot be confirmed as true or false for the real Monroe. Still, many audience members have questioned why they are there in the first place, regardless of accuracy.
Ooh, that definitely has very weird vibes.
This is once again not the first occurrence, as Marilyn Monroe has remained a dividing topic in pop culture even 60 years after her death. Netflix is just the most recent party to try and cash in on her life, regardless of the ethical issues involved.
Man, Netflix has gone back to back with profiting off of deceased people in questionable ways. I guess after losing some of their bigger shows, they figured any press is good press.
Well, it does make for an eventful first episode. That's all we have this week. I'm Erica.
And I'm Angelina. And
that's all the time that we have for this week.
From everyone at Newswave, we hope you have a safe weekend and enjoy the weather. I'm Cinthia Morales.
And I'm Caleb Reed. We'll see you next time.